Right, so I love technical difficulties. This one has been trying for us, hasn't it? Just gonna say.
It has.
But because we are diligent, hardworking, and good at marketing, we persevere.
Absolutely. And it just means that we get to chat for longer.
Yeah, that's it. And I feel like we've had such a good chat now that we've got all the good stuff sitting on the surface and we can just smash straight into it. Because I feel like now, like, obviously we're coming at marketing from understanding the current situation in the world and that lots of people are in lockdown. But I also feel like we still want to acknowledge like all that juicy stuff we were just talking about in terms of things that get in the way for people to actually show up. Because it's all very well to sit here and say, for us to say to everyone, well, you should be doing this and you should be showing up online multiple times a week and da-da-da-da. But actually, I feel like the elephant in the room is something that, and I work so much with people on in terms of photography, but it's that fear of actually being seen, of putting yourself out there, of owning that you're good enough and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's something that it really holds people back, and I know from my personal experience as well that it has held me back at times, and it's the same for a lot of people. Yeah.
And I definitely have found this too, you know, working as a coach as well. It's so interesting because I think for us, like we work with people around, you know, marketing and like building brands and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, we are business owners as well. So we actually go through all the same stuff, which I think is a great thing. And if we can like own it, as we've just had from our previous podcast, which was amazing, that no one will ever hear. They'll hear the good bits here though.
Absolutely.
It's like, that's the power in it, is that we have to do it ourselves. We have to show up on videos, on YouTube, on podcasts, on social media, put ourselves out there. So it's like we understand all of those things that come up for people.
I do, and I'm a really good example of it, really, because if I'm talking about to someone and I'm trying to help them promote what they do and tell them they need to be the face of it, I will tell them to have the photo shoot, be visible on social media, do the magazine editorial, have their face planted everywhere, going to be on the front cover of a magazine, do it. It's really good promotion. But if I was then given the opportunity for myself, I would be a little bit nervous and a bit scared, and I have not been putting myself forward. And I had to shake that off and say, you know what, I would be telling people, just do it, you have to do it, it's so important. But here I am not actually walking the talk because I'm too scared.
Yeah. So like, what were, and I know this is so cool because I got to photograph you, that's how we met. Which means that you did put yourself out there, by the way.
I did, yes.
Because most people, well, not most people, but a lot of people never get to that point. And that's like what we were talking about before in our amazing podcast that no one will ever hear, was how, like, the resistance, social media is what we were talking about in terms of, because at the moment in the world, I mean, New Zealand is in lockdown, lots of the world is in lockdown. So really showing up online is where it's at the moment. Yet there is so much resistance around being seen online. Why do you think that is?
I think people are afraid of what other people are going to think of them. By putting themselves personally being seen on social media. They're too busy comparing, I think, themselves to others, what their competitors are doing, and it just puts a big halt on everything. And in terms of why they're not being on social media and not being present, often people don't actually realise the value that comes from being on social media and actually being in somewhere that is putting you in your customer's face at any time of the day. And actually making you incredible, you know, reminding them that you are there, you exist, and what the good things that you do, so the amazing service you provide or the incredible product.
Do you think though, this is so funny that now we had our practice podcast and now we've just gone like 3 layers deeper. It's so good. Do you think that people actually sabotage though? Like in terms of, like, if you don't market yourself, you are obviously holding yourself back. But do you think that that's part of why people do it, maybe subconsciously, is because actually if you did put yourself out there, then you are open to rejection and criticism. You're also open to success. And if you don't, and like honestly, every single conversation I have these days comes back to self-worth, right? And feeling worthy. And actually, if you don't feel like you're good enough, or that you deserve money for your services, or that you're talented enough, or anything, can you maybe not receive? So it would be easier to not put yourself out there in the first place, and then be like, it's because I don't have any customers or whatever. But actually, it's that we're holding ourselves back.
Yeah, I think so. I think people need to learn to back themselves, and so they think, oh, no, I can't stand up. And not have the courage to do that, because they're looking at what someone else is doing and they think, oh, they're amazing. They're all of this and that, and that's why they're getting all this business, and I can't do that. So I'm not even going to try. But actually, just because you have a different style to that other person, it doesn't mean that you should shrink away and it's not going to work and that you're not good enough. Actually, you need to own that is, you are you, and you've got these really great qualities, and people are going to miss out if they don't get a chance to learn about how incredible you are in the service that you provide. And just because someone's talking louder and more bolder than you, it doesn't mean that they're any better. But people often look at the loud person in the room and say, oh no, like I just can't compare with that. I can't, I'm not good enough. Yeah, and they hold themselves back because of those negative thoughts. But actually, if they stood up and made themselves visible, then people would actually get to see, what is really fantastic about their offering. Yeah.
So when you're working with your clients, how much time do you spend focusing on figuring out what your point of difference is, what your strengths are, that kind of stuff?
Quite a bit, really, because it's something I really like to talk about. What makes your business unique and special, and what sort of and how is it reflected in your brand, and people always bring it back to what their competitors are doing. And I try to say people don't focus on that. Sometimes it can be a bit detrimental to follow all your competitors and spend so much time looking at what they're doing that you can't see that gap and that point of difference that you've got. So I spend a lot of time working with my clients on finding that nugget to really jump on and really push.
Yeah. So how much of the work that you do with people is actual strategy, like write this, take these photos, do this, versus helping people own and accept that they are good enough?
Yeah. Well, I have a real mix. I have some people that are like, own it. This is what I'm awesome about. I just really need to get it out. And then I do spend a lot of time for other people that are saying that do need a bit of guidance, or, for example, they need money to write a blog, and they're like, well, I've got nothing interesting about myself to write about, or nothing interesting about my business, or nothing. And then I say to them, well, actually, there's this, and this, and these are all these really, really cool things. And so I do spend a lot of time opening people's eyes to what makes them different and all these really neat things they do, because people so many times don't see it, or they say, I can't use social media because I've got nothing to talk about, or I'm just do what I do, and how is that of interest to anybody? But actually it is. Looking from an outsider's perspective, it's like, that's really cool.
I love this stuff so much, because, if we're being honest, both of us can relate to this, because we have to do it ourselves. And the amount of time and energy that I've spent worrying about what other people think is actually ridiculous. Like, it's actually ridiculous. And if I think about it, it's like, I don't believe in, oh my gosh, my English has just failed me. What's the word? Regrets. I was going to say resentment. That's not it. I do not believe in regrets. But that is one thing when I think the time, and especially because we're only thinking what we think people are thinking. We don't even know what they're thinking. So we're sitting there paralyzing ourselves with fear about what we think other people might think. And, like we also know that we're always projecting anyway. So really, the thing is, it's not what other people think. That's what I think. So for me, it's like I've had to spend so much time going within, doing work on myself to actually really build myself up and be able to get clear on why I do what I do and why I feel my business is important and stuff, which is what I wanted to ask you about, because what is your why?
So my why, so I guess I'll share with you how the idea for my business started, because I think that really illustrates my why. So I was meeting with a small business owner. They were sponsoring an event that I was involved in. And the conversation, when as a marketer, if someone knows that you're in marketing, they just want to tell you about and talk to you about marketing. I guess it's like a doctor. If you say you're a doctor, it's like, oh, can you look at this? But the person was telling me about their business and what they're doing to market themselves, and they were asking my advice. And I just really enjoyed that conversation. I could have just stayed there for longer talking to them about it. And I left there thinking, you know what, I want to do this for more people. I really enjoy sitting down with someone and helping them see the light and see the opportunity that there is to promote their business, or show them how all the different pieces come together to really get themselves out there. I just loved it. And I decided that's what I need to do, that I've reached the point in my career that I've got this experience. I've had a lot of success for the businesses that I've worked for. Now is the time that to really to back myself and think, actually, you know what, I've got a lot of really good experience and knowledge, and I want to share that with other businesses. I've got something to offer them.
Yeah.
So I always keep that in mind, that when I'm thinking about doing this, am I staying true to that I'm helping, I want to help. Yeah. And I want to make it so that marketing isn't this awful, scary thing. So I get so many people that say, oh no, marketing, it's so hard. I don't know where to start. How do you know? Do I do social media? Do I not? Do I write a blog? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? Is there even point doing it? Or is there even point putting energy into it? And I love marketing so much. And I think it doesn't have to be that really hard, awful thing that you keep putting on the back burner because you just think it's too hard. It's not. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally identify with that. That's exactly why I, started taking photos of people. It's because everyone hates being photographed. And it's like, but it doesn't have to be like that. It actually doesn't have to be like that. But I think, we've got all these sort of preconceived notions of, marketing. And actually, even the word, it sounds quite harsh. Like it does. It makes me think of like a cold white room with a big whiteboard or something, and it takes me to like an American movie. That's where into an office.
Oh yeah. Like Mad Men.
Yes.
But
they're not as good looking.
Yeah. I get a real mix. I get the people that think it's like this really intense, scary thing, and then I get the opposite. They think it's just fluffy, and it's just the fluffiness that you need to do.
Yeah.
And it's not. Yeah. I get it. So I do have some people that I've worked with, and they say, oh, I've been told I have to do this marketing stuff, and I just need you to do it because I don't want to do it.
Yeah. So talk to me about your definition of what marketing is.
So for me, marketing is it's all the different activities you do to get your product or service in front of a customer. So yes, it is branding, it's advertising, it's copywriting. So copywriting is writing for promotional purposes. It's also, where your product is, if you're doing a product, where it's sold, how much it costs. So it's all of these different things that come together, which is marketing. Yeah. So people often think it is just putting some ads in the paper, and that's marketing. Advertising is a channel that marketing is used, but marketing is their overall discipline.
Yeah, I love that. So in my head, marketing, I feel like it's connection. That's how I think about it. So I think anything that I can do that's going to connect with people is marketing. Would that be right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's sort of the everything comes together and then goes, and then it's that engagement, it's that connecting and communicating with people, that's sort of the all this other stuff happens, and it's got to happen in order to be able to reach those people. And then from there you're engaging them and you're making them fall in love with a product. I'm really into that. So making someone fall in love with your brand, with your product, with your service, it's really it's capturing their attention as well. So people often say sales and marketing, so how does that sort of work? And I always think it's like a pyramid. At the top it's marketing. It's that marketing is catching people's attention. It's making them want to engage with a business, and then sales is obviously taking the next level and making them actually do it, whereas as marketing is capturing them.
I love it. Do you know, I recently heard something very similar. I just had the filthiest thoughts playing in my head just then, just so you know. A business coach that I know was just talking about seducing clients, and then so I had that in my head, and then I heard you going on it, and you take it to the next level. I'm like, that's kind of what it is.
It is. I actually have a book. It's probably right behind me actually, and it's called Love Marks.
Yeah.
It's all about marketing and branding and making people fall in love.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
do you make people fall in love?
You make them fall in love by engaging them. So you're selling, when you're marketing, you're marketing a solution or an idea, or it's not necessarily the product. You're actually making them, you're really connecting them with them on a deep level that makes them think that I have to have that, or I can't live without that, or I need to. I have to have that. So it's about touching them a bit more deeply. So taking on their heartstrings. It's getting into their mind. It's just really and you're engaging them. You're showing them. You're painting a picture in their mind, and yeah.
So how do you do that though? Like, let's say I'm a new client of yours. We've figured out who my target client is. How do you then actually do that? Like, how do you know how to create content that's going to actually move people?
So you think about what is the solution that you're providing, and then you write, or you position what you're doing based on that. So people go, I'm trying to think how to explain it now. So you sort of catching them on a deeper level, and so it's what solution you're providing, as opposed to, like they say, when you're selling a drill, you're not selling the drill, you're selling the hole that it makes.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember as a photographer, like, because it's been interesting to, as a coach and as a photographer, I do have different, I mean, it sort of all connects, but there are different kind of angles. And I remember years ago, someone came in for a photo shoot, and she was like, you're that photographer that's all about feeling good, right? And I was like, yes, like my social media marketing is on point, that had translated to a stranger, that's what I'm about. And I think, whereas with coaching, it's always about self-worth. So people hear it and go, oh my God, I totally get that. Like, I need help with that. I need help with actually knowing that I'm good enough. And because I think, and like, we just go full circle here, but it is that thing of embracing who we are. And from a marketing perspective, I'm getting crossover now, which conversation we had this in. This was in the first conversation, I think. But like, actually getting to that point where you can be really proud of who you are and what you do well enough that you fully own it and are comfortable putting it out there, because it's like, that is the message, isn't it? And I feel like it's the difference between people that succeed and people that fail, is your ability to really appreciate yourself and back yourself and truly put yourself out there.
Yeah, I guess it's like, like a builder say, I can build a house. There's a difference between building a house and building a home.
Yeah.
Like it's or it will pay people back in themselves to say that they do something really, really well, and not just when they're marketing themselves, not going on that surface level, but actually this is really why you should be working with me, because I'm amazing and I do this really great work, and this is the benefit that you'll get out of it. This is yeah.
And confidence is so attractive. It truly is. Like, and I think when you get out and you sort of network and stuff, and you meet other business owners, and you look at what you like and what you don't like, and not in a judgy way, just in a like what attracts you and what doesn't. And the people that sit there and say, this is what I do, these are the results I get, this is why I love what I do, you're like, yeah, I want to work with you.
Yeah.
Whereas you can feel
that passion in someone. Yeah.
Yeah. And just the knowing that they can do it, as opposed to you can feel the difference in someone, even if they love what they do, but if they don't fully believe or they don't fully back themselves. And even the way that it comes across, like, sometimes if you've got a friend or whatever that has a business and you say, how much would this cost? And they kind of and ah, and they're not sure. And you can feel that sort of insecurity. Whereas a friend that says, boom, it's $3,000. You're like, okay, cool. There's such a difference. Yeah.
There is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
also hard sometimes to get to that point as well.
It's massively hard. Massively hard. And again, wow, it didn't even take me long to get into my social media rant in this conversation. But this is why I love these conversations, because I think it's so important that we actually acknowledge the process that happens behind the scenes, as opposed to the perfectly curated social media feed with the professional photos and all the makeup and the nice clothes and stuff. And it's not real, but it's not all of it. It's like it's a tiny bit of it. Like, you don't see the process that we go through behind the scenes to reflect on, are we actually good enough? The letting go of the need to compare to other people and being scared that we're not good enough, and all that stuff that you've got to work through in order to be able to show up and put yourself out there.
Yeah, and it's so true. Like I said earlier, that when I set up my business, it took me a year in between the idea and to actually put it out there. So I had my website, I had my business cards, I had this really great idea, and I knew I could do it, but I was feeling too shy. I was too scared to really actually take that step to have that courage and back myself. And I'm so glad that when I did it, said, you know what, it doesn't really, I don't care what other people think. And some people are going to not agree with my style, because everybody's got a different style in marketing. But no, I am good at what I do. I've had really good successes. I know what I'm talking about. I just need to step out of that line and push live and push go. And so and I did, and I'm so glad that I did. But yeah, that was a process that I went, so I do understand. And same with social media, as you know very well, because I came to you because I wanted some photos where I felt really good about myself. I talk to people all the time about the importance of being visible in their business and social media, and giving people an insight into the person who's behind the brand and who's behind the business, because people want to do business with people they like and who they feel that they've got a bit of a connection with. And seeing the person, people do just feel like they get to know you. And it took me a while to actually go, no, I'm going to start putting myself out a little bit more, and not hiding behind nice pictures of cool pieces of marketing or cool collaborations that I've done, that I actually need to stand out and go, no, this is me. I am the person behind the social media account, behind the brand that you see. And that took courage, and that took, and also to not stare at my flaws in photos.
Yeah, totally. Because how do you think digital marketing especially is changing, like, not even digital marketing, but marketing in general? Because I guess, how much of it is digital now? A massive amount, I would imagine.
A lot, yeah. And probably even more now that we've just lost a big publishing company too. So there's a lot of magazines that were around that aren't going to be there. Digital marketing is huge, and it's really important to be. And I think as illustrative as that, marketing is everywhere. And we're constantly exposed to it, and your ability to get in front of somebody is not defined by 9 to 5, Monday to Friday is when you'll market to them. Actually, you'll be marketing them to them. You can market to them in the middle of the night if that happens to be where they come across your social media post or your blog or something that you've done on digitally. So marketing is really changing. So it used to be very, this is the brand, but it was very much like high level. You didn't really see much about the people, whereas marketing really now has really changed to a lot of focus about engaging people on a human level. So it's not just about the transaction and about the product or service. It's actually about the people that bring you that product or service. And you'll see that the companies that do really, really well are the ones that that show their personality and connect with people in that way.
Yeah. And I love this stuff because it's like the word that I keep hearing is vulnerability. And I was just thinking, I wonder when the internet came out, like, for example, back in the old days, well, I wasn't there, but I imagine, you weren't there either. But back in the old days, everyone used to know who their neighbors were, right? Like there was a real sense of community and stuff like that. And now, like, teenagers don't know how to talk on the phone because the only way they communicate is through text and email and stuff like that. So it's like, do you think that maybe almost the way that we compensate for that is to actually create the sense of connection on social media? That's why we're craving it so much, is because we're not actually getting that one-on-one stuff anymore that we used to get just from our actual lives.
Possibly because it's what works really well for companies is when they do show that person's side and really engage. So yeah, possibly that is why it works so well with people, is that it's filling a gap.
I definitely think it is, just from like trial and error as well. When I know that if I share real things, it just goes crazy. And it's so stupid as well. Sometimes it's quite annoying, actually. You're like, here's a photo of my cat, and it goes nuts. And you're like, seriously? I just wrote the best thing ever. It's like all heartfelt and meaningful, and like no one responds to it. But then here's a photo of my cat, and all the cat lovers suddenly emerge. You're like,
it's true. You share a photo of a cat, or any animal, or a cute kid, and it goes viral.
I reckon I'm going to work on that. But anyway, let's focus for a sec. Now, in terms of where people are at the moment, what are your top pieces of advice for everyone who, has a business, who is stuck at home? What can they be doing right now to help themselves in terms of getting their brand and their business out there?
So what I recommend people doing is taking a little bit of time to have a little think about how they've been marketing in themselves, and if they're thinking it's been working, and to look back on maybe some past business plans or something they've got where they get reminded of things that they wanted to do, but they just haven't had the time. Because we all know when we're business, we're so busy just getting the job done, doing the admin. We just don't always have the time to follow some of these ideas that we want. And so now's a really good time for people to actually pull those out of the basket, and maybe have a brainstorm about what they can do moving forward. So really, the first thing is to reflect, have a little think about it, and be realistic and go, actually, I've been putting a lot of effort and a lot of energy into this particular thing, and it's not actually really working for me anymore, and it's not really where I want to go. It's not really aligned with my goals. And actually, where do I want to be? And how does that look like? And how do I get to that? And then brainstorm. So I'm a really big believer in, I'm a real paper. I still write, but when I write a marketing plan, I have a big book, a big just plain paper, and I have felts, different colours. And yes, that's very stereotypical of a marketer to have felts of different colours. But I plan it out in all different colours, and I visualise it. And I think that's a good thing for people to do, is just to make a big cloud brainstorm and think about your business and what you want to do. And because you often don't have that time to sit down and do that.
Yeah, totally. So I was just thinking, in terms of impact, like from a marketing point of view, how do you measure if something's working or not? For example, we were just talking about people post something on social media and you're like, I got no sales from it, I'm not doing it again. And you're like, okay. But what I found so interesting over the years is that you can put things up and people will not respond to them. And then like years later, someone will say, you know, you'll go to a party and someone's like, I listened to that podcast that you did with so-and-so, and then they'll quote stuff to you, or like they've read stuff and it goes in, but they don't engage. So how do you find, like, how do you actually track some of the stuff, especially with social media? Like, how do you actually tell if it's working or not?
So it is quite hard if someone doesn't engage. But I always tell people that you don't look at just at the likes and shares and comments, but also have a look at the reach as well. And sometimes someone may not have commented or liked something, but they may have clicked on a link and gone through to your website and had a look. And they might not have purchased straight away because it's not what they needed at that time, but they've mentally filed you as, okay, when I need to do that, this is the person I want to go to. So it's just following those different trails of where they could have gone, and also having a look at how many people are actually talking about you as well. How many people are mentioning you on social media, because they may not have actually done anything to your post in terms of engagement, but actually they're recommending you elsewhere, or they're mentioning you elsewhere, or there's lots of different things that you can track.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me, this stuff, because especially like from a sort of confidence point of view, I guess. It's like if you've worked up the nerve, you've started your business, you've put all this stuff out there, you've made yourself vulnerable, and you don't get very much engagement on stuff, it can be very easy to go, see, it's because no one cares, it's because I'm not relevant, no one cares what I do or why I do it, here's the evidence. And I think that, I know for me, certainly the comparison thing was huge for a long time, where I was looking at everyone else. And then I've just really unfollowed pretty much everyone, because it was getting in the way of me figuring out how I want to do it. And I love what you said before about, you've sort of mentioned a couple of times, like almost intuition, really, like going within and following those little ideas that you have in those prompts. And like you said, you know, you finally got time to, everyone has 1,000 ideas of things that I could do, and it's like, now's the time to do it. And the fact that you've got that idea is probably what makes you different from everyone else anyway. But I guess it's finding confidence and the courage as well to do something different and not worry about anyone else, because those are the things that stand out, right?
The amount of times I get people saying, oh, but this is how it's always done, or this is how my competitors do it, so, you know, like they are too scared to actually try something different and go, actually, you know what, because you are different and because you are special that you've thought about this, and your competitors are probably really gutted that they didn't think of it first. You know, don't get stuck in that rut of, this is how other people do it, so this is how I've got to do it. If you've got an idea and it feels right, go with it.
And I definitely think, like, again, the self-worth piece where it comes in is that you can't measure your worth based on likes or comments on a post. For example, this podcast, when I share it everywhere, it never gets engagement, ever. And I was sort of like, in the beginning, I was like, because it was so scary for me to start it, you know, and then I was like, see, no one cares and no one's listening, until I start looking at the back end stats, and I see all these people in all these different countries, and then you start getting feedback and you start noticing that, someone shared that in their story, and I'm getting all these comments from people and stuff, and but it's not in the comment section. It's not, because actually, if you think about it from a logical point of view, people click out of Facebook to go and listen to it. They're not going to go back in, scroll down and find my post to leave a comment, you know. And it's like, but getting over myself to be like, it's not that it's a terrible podcast, it's like back at that thing of backing yourself. And that was my real like invitation to have to put that into practice, is that when you're sitting there, you've put your heart and soul into something and you've got no likes on it, but then you do it and all of a sudden people start talking to you about it. You start getting messages from people in real life start quoting. This has been the coolest thing of starting this podcast. People will start quoting things, and like they'll come up to me and be like, oh, when so-and-so said this, and you're like, how awesome is that, you know?
That is so cool. And it's like, you know, I get that too. I think, oh, you know, I haven't had that much engagement, but then I'll get someone that'll say to me later, oh, I've seen what you've been doing on social media and it's really cool. I've seen this collaboration, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes people just don't engage. And so you've got to look at all these other factors. Look at the reach sometimes, you can never look and say, actually, a lot of people didn't like it, didn't put a comment or whatever. But actually a lot of eyeballs have seen it. And sometimes people are too lazy to actually go.
Yeah. Or the exact opposite. Like when all this COVID stuff came out, and I remember talking to you about this, that like my posts are just not getting any reach. And looking at it, and it was like, actually everyone's reach was really down. But it was so interesting actually with that, because it really forced me to start using my personal page more. And I had all this resistance around that. And it's like, hang on. But like we're talking about, I have a very clear message with what I do. Why wouldn't I want people to hear that? It's all about reminding people that they're good enough. And it was like this thing in my head of like, why am I so afraid to do that? I'm like, just do it. Just do it. It's like, here's another...
Yeah, well, there's something that really appealed to me about you, like I started following your page, and I really love that positivity that you were sharing. That really appealed to me, because I'm always someone that tries to be positive, and you're on the positive side of things. And yeah, and I thought that was really clear, everything that you kept posting. And maybe I might not have always engaged, but I try to engage. I try to be good at engaging, because I know how frustrating it is when people don't. But it was coming across really, really clear. And I guess I say that also to other people that, even though someone might not be engaging with you, they may still be noticing your posts, and you just got to keep at it, because you're building. It's building blocks. So like, oh yeah, I saw when you posted that. Oh, that's that person again. Oh, that's that person again. Oh yeah, maybe I would like to buy that service, or maybe, their product, or maybe I should investigate that service a little bit more, because it's all part of that continuous exposure to someone.
Totally. And I always come back to self-worth, and I think this is another classic example of that, is how you respond in those moments when you've put up a post and it's got no engagement or less than you'd like. Where your mind goes, if you go straight to, it's because I'm not good enough, or and it's like, actually that in itself is a gift, because that's shining a massive spotlight on areas that we need to work on within ourselves. Because actually the fact is, if I've gone onto Facebook looking for everyone to validate me, that's on me. That's not on everyone else. Like, it's not up to everyone else to build me up. I need to be secure and stuff and confident in myself. And after I can chuck up my podcast and just know that, and just have faith that whoever's meant to hear it will hear it, and not need that validation,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, speaking of, now, talk to me about the most common mistakes that people make in their marketing.
So I think some of the most common mistakes would be, one would be the content. So they try to tell everybody everything all at once. So they'll have, say, for example, it might be their post, Facebook post, or it might be their flyer or their website or something like that. And they just want to tell you about every single thing they do and everything that you could possibly need to know. And it's overwhelming. It's just, like the messages just it's too, there's too much going on. And so that's probably one of the biggest mistakes people make, is that they add too much clutter, and there's just too much noise around their message. They need it to make it nice and clear and simple. Yeah. Also, other things that mistakes people make is around photography, which you and I both know are really passionate about. So putting up really just really terrible photos, like they're trying to show their product or show something really neat that they're doing, and they've put this awful grainy blurry photo that's of the back of people's heads, or they only show backs of people's heads as well. And I keep saying to people that you're gonna need eyes. That's what engages people scrolling through. People need to see eyes. Yeah. eyes. And so that's a big mistake that people do. So just trying to copy other people as well, that's a real mistake, because you're not being true to what your business is, or you're trying to put a foot forward and present yourself in a way that is not reality. It's not it's not what people are going to get, and so you just got to be really true and honest.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love that too. And I actually think that's probably a whole other podcast, is about being yourself. Because like, it sounds so nice, right? But in actuality, like when you have to show up, so much hits you. Like I mean, and you'll know this as well, you know, years of being online, and the amount of stress that I've put on myself worrying about how things look and how things sound, and what do people think about this, and da da da. And it's like, yeah, but it all comes from that, honestly, it all comes from that place of not feeling good enough. Because if you, and self-worth again, like I'm going to get a t-shirt that just says self-worth, and I'm just going to point to it like 20 times a day. But it's, that's the thing. And the more work that I've done like that on myself, the less I'm affected, you know, the more that I can be really clear on, and this comes back to marketing, my why, my purpose. And all of a sudden it starts to just, it gives me clarity on, okay, but this is what I'm here to do. This is my message. So I'm just going to do it. And again, have faith that the right people are going to hear it. And they're not going to hear it unless I put it out there. So actually it becomes about them at that point, not me, which kind of makes it easier sometimes as well, I think.
Yeah. I was doing the same, you know, I was thinking about that when, you know, I've been doing some posts about things that people can be using this quiet time for. And I'm posting this because I'm hoping that I just can inspire someone, or, you know, help to lift them out of that, that negative thoughts of, oh my gosh, all, you know, everything's coming to a halt, I can't do anything. I just keep thinking about that person. If I can just inspire somebody to go away and work on these things that I've suggested, it's worth it. Yeah. And you could be the only person that's put that out there as well. You might think, oh, everybody's probably saying the same thing, but actually they might not be.
100%.
You know, you often, it's really easy to think, oh, well, you know, why should someone care about what I think, or what's my, you know, why should they care about my personality, what my opinion on this? But actually to other people that is really valuable.
100%. I think that's where our own self-work comes in. Because again, like we have to back ourselves. And it's like, if you can't think of reasons why someone could benefit from coming into contact with you, then really you're not going to, it sounds brutal, but you're not going to do very well in business. If you can't, you know. And I think this is why, like, I love to journal, but I also love conversations like these that are actually about how to grow and how to evolve as a person. And because it's not easy at all. And there is so much stuff that has to happen behind the scenes before you can even create that website or create the business. You know, it's like you've got to get yourself to a point where you're able to receive money is a huge one. You know, self-worth and money go hand in hand. So it's like, if you don't back your ability to do something or value your time, then it's not going to be much fun. Like,
That's why I say, that's why it took me a while, you know, to take that plunge, to that step to push live on my website and back myself to start my own business.
And I think too, it's important to remember that it's a constant work in progress. It's not like one day you wake up and you're just like, I smashed life, I am the confidence queen, like everyone should learn from me. Because I think too that you know, the goalpost keeps moving. It's like, I never would have thought of starting a podcast, you know, ever. And it's like, cool, so I've done that now, but then your goals change and you want more impact and you want to do this and you want to expand here and focus on this. And you know, like you say, I think when you allow yourself to be really guided by your intuition, the whole world opens up. Because I think that we are meant to evolve, but it's like your ability to back yourself for who you are, not for what you do, is what enables you to actually dominate the world.
I think so. I'm a real believer in taking opportunities. So, you know, the amount of people that I say, that'll say that there's something that's come up and they've not really taken it. I think I've lived my life, and it's been like this since I was a teenager, that an opportunity came up, and then I followed it, and all these doors that kept opening along the way, and they opened because I put myself forward and I let it be known. And the path that I started on to become and get into originally writing and then marketing is because I put my hand up and said, I have an interest in this. And then doors kept following, and I followed my intuition and went, okay, this is a really good opportunity, then I'll do this and I'll do that. And as a result, I've done some really, really cool things, and I've had some really cool opportunities. But it's because I've followed my intuition, and people have got behind me and really encouraged me to, they've seen that interest, and they've opened that door, and it's just, and I've followed it, and it's put me on a path that I am now. And I'm really a big believer in it. Well, when I started my business, that I would do presentations, that I would stand up and do seminars and things like that. I thought, no, that's not something I could do. And then I was invited to do one, and I did it. And I thought, I actually really love talking about marketing. I really enjoy this. And I just had to get over the fact that I was standing in front of lots of people. And go, you know what, people are actually looking to me for advice. And that's what I keep in mind, is rather than thinking, oh, they're judging me for this, or you know, critiquing how I'm saying this, actually the way that I need to put my mindset is actually they are looking to me for advice. And again, that comes down to that self-worth, that backing yourself, that believing in yourself, and not letting negative things stop you and get in the way.
Yes, 100%. And that's the thing, you know, it's so easy to see the pretty website and but actually, and this is just, it resonates so much with my podcast from last week with Danielle about, you know, she started her fashion line and saying yes to all those opportunities, like move to Tauranga, yep, do it. And not necessarily knowing how it's going to work out, but a massive amount of faith and courage, you know, that it sounds good. You're like, oh yeah, you know, these opportunities came, but it's like actually taking the time to reflect on the courage that it takes to take that opportunity. You know, it's like, yeah, cool, you took that opportunity, but then you had to stand in front of people and deliver presentations. And most people would just be like, nah, I'm out. Like, that sounds horrible. But it's like, you grow so much. And yeah, it's hard at the time, but you always come out of it a better version of yourself. And it's like,
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm quite big on often stepping out of my comfort zone. And in doing that, this is my first podcast that I've done. So again, this is something that I've stepped out of my comfort zone and going, you know what, I'm going to do this. And yes, it's nerve wracking, and I'm not going to sit there and think about what is other people thinking about what I'm saying. You know, Monica's asked me to be part of this for a reason, and I just need to think about that. Yeah,
I love that. And actually on that, and then we should finish because I think we've been talking for ages and I could easily continue. When I was looking for people for this podcast, I was looking for people that had a message, and you were one of the only people that actually had a succinct message and like actually read my post enough to respond to it, like which was so interesting that so many people were like, I'd love to come on a podcast, but they couldn't put that into words. They couldn't. I guess this is good marketing, my friend. But that, yeah, you were like, this is what I do, this is how I do it, this is my message. And that's why I was like, yes, you, like so I love that. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's so cool to see people putting themselves out of their comfort zone. You smash this podcast, it's awesome. People are going to get so much out of this, and making the most of opportunities. I love being around people who take risks and are always looking to grow. That's the whole point of this podcast, you know, is to have people like you come on and share their stories and their experiences and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you. This has been really good. We need to have more chats like this.
We will, don't worry. But before I go, I'm going to ask you one more hard question, which is, if you could go back in time and tell 15-year-old Mel one thing, what would it be?
It would be around not caring what other people think. I think, you know, at their age in particular, you sit there and you think, you're so worried, oh, that person doesn't like me, or that this doesn't, I don't look right, or actually I go back to tell myself that actually you are fine how you are, and everybody's different, and just because you're not exactly the same as someone else doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. In fact, if you were all the same, that would be really boring. And I actually got that from a Angelina Ballerina book that I read my 5-year-old. How boring it would be if we were all the same. But yeah, that's what I would tell myself, is to stop thinking about what other people are thinking and just have confidence and just go ahead. Yeah.
Love that so much. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I'll put this out for the whole world to hear very soon. You mean yes?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Mel.
Let's do more.
We will. The people will tell us what they want to hear us talk about next, and then we'll create something from there.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks heaps, buddy.
You're welcome.
See ya.